The icon of Microsoft is ready to say goodbye. Those waiting on Google's Android may have to wait a little bit longer, and here's a laptop you can control with a few waves of your hand. All that news and more on this week's World Tech Update. Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. I'm Nick Barber. You may notice our surroundings are a little bit different. That's because we're here at the historic Faneuil Hall Marketplace in downtown Boston. And topping our news this week is the retirement, in a sense, of Microsoft founder Bill Gates. On Friday, June 27th, he'll work his last day as a full-time employee at the software giant. He'll stay on as chairman and continue to work on some pet projects, but will devote most of his time to philanthropic efforts at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. With an endowment of more than $37 billion, the foundation works in more than 100 countries, focusing on healthcare, poverty, and hunger. Speaking at Harvard University's 2007 commencement, Gates highlighted how there needs to be greater awareness of worldwide inequities.
But taking a serious look back, I do have one big regret. I left Harvard with no real awareness of the awful inequities in the world. The appalling disparities of health and wealth and opportunity that condemn millions of people to lives of despair. I learned a lot here at Harvard about new ideas in economics and politics. I got great exposure to the advances being made in the sciences. But humanity's greatest advances are not in its discoveries, but in how those discoveries are applied to reduce inequity.
Some of you may have been left scratching your heads when Apple announced the low $200 price tag of the iPhone 3G, which is set to be available in early July. Market researcher iSupply estimates that it costs just $173 to make. Part of the cost is offset by mobile phone service providers paying Apple about $300 per unit, iSupply estimates. Also, cheaper components make the phone less expensive to manufacture than its predecessor. The most expensive component in the 3G iPhone is the 8 gigabytes of flash memory at about $23, followed by the touchscreen at about $20 according to estimates. And for those in Japan waiting for iPhone pricing, Japanese operator SoftBank will be charging just over 23,000 yen, or about $214 for the new 3G phone. That's a little bit over the $199 that Steve Jobs recommended. The on-again, off-again Microsoft Yahoo saga? Well, it's back on. Citing anonymous sources in both companies, technology blog TechCrunch reported earlier this week that the two companies are holding official negotiations after recent talks broke down in early May. Yahoo stock began trading more heavily than usual with the news. 85 million shares of Yahoo stock were traded on Tuesday, more than double of what it sees on an average day. Neither Microsoft nor Yahoo responded to requests for comment. Those of you waiting for phones designed around Google's Android software platform may have to wait a little bit longer. When Google and 30 partners announced Android last November, Google said phones would be on the market by the second half of this year. That projection has now been pushed back until the fourth quarter of this year, with some companies even struggling to make that deadline, according to a Wall Street Journal report. The paper reports that some operators, such as Sprint Nextel, have abandoned the idea of launching an Android-based handset this year due to delays. Software developers are also complaining about the platform. Google continues to make changes to the software, making it difficult for other software developers to create programs that work with Android. Panasonic's newest Toughbook is designed not to just weather water, dust, and accidental drops, but it's made to keep up with the increasingly mobile demands of users, thanks to its mini PC form factor. Based on Intel's Atom processor, the CFU1 Toughbook lands somewhere between a handheld PDA and a laptop. It weighs just over a kilogram and runs either Windows XP or Vista. The ports on the PC can be sealed shut to keep out water and dust. 2 keyboards are available, a 10-key and a full QWERTY. The new Toughbook will launch outside of Japan in August and in the country in October. Having your cell phone with you when you travel may be all the more important in the coming years. A recent Cambridge University study found that by using handsets to track passengers or inform them of gate changes, airlines could vastly decrease the number of delays caused to passengers and create savings close to $600 million a year. And don't forget a couple of weeks ago when we told you about getting boarding passes sent straight to your BlackBerry, leaving paper a thing of the past. Airline IT provider SITA now says boarding passes are only the beginning, with plans to keep passengers in touch with their baggage tracking information and payment data, all through their mobile phones. They even predict that by the end of 2010, nearly 70% of airlines will be offering mobile check-in. Sony is getting ready to play in the content delivery arena. The company will begin providing video content to PlayStation 3 users via the recently launched PlayStation Network. They will also start a streaming video service for owners of Bravia TVs with a network connection.
Sony now has the capability to deliver feature films and television shows of ours or our peers directly to consumer televisions across the open IP network outside the conventional satellite, cable, or terrestrial distribution systems.
But Sony isn't stopping there. By March 2011, it plans to have network-enabled and wireless-capable products available in 90% of its product categories. The first laptop to use Toshiba's Spurs Engine multimedia coprocessor is coming in July. The Spurs Engine is derived from the cell chip that runs the PlayStation 3. It contains 4 of the multimedia processing cores from the cell, which makes it perfect for handling data-heavy multimedia tasks. On the new laptops, the Cosmio G50 and F40, that means a few neat tricks. Among them is face navigation. Faces that appear in the video are recognized and displayed as thumbnails to create a visual index of the video. It's then easy to find a desired scene and watch it with a double click. The laptop also has hand gesture control. When enabled, the camera above the display monitors the user's hands, and through gestures, the PC can be controlled. The system works on the media player and PowerPoint functions, and means, for example, videos can be stopped and started, or slideshows can be controlled with a few waves of the hand. The multimedia machine will hit Japan in late July with prices from 290,000 yen, that's about $2,700 US, and follow in other markets later in the year. Well, that's our show. Thanks for joining us here on World Tech Update. Next week, my colleague Martin Williams will be hosting from Japan, and we'll have never-before-seen product demonstrations from iRobot. As we head out this week, we'll leave you with shots of the beautiful and historic Faneuil Hall Marketplace. I'm Nick Barber, and for all of us here at the IDG News Service, thanks for watching, and we hope to see you next week.